All right. So listen, we learned about if statements last time. If everybody could look up here, that would be really good. And today, we're going to learn a little twist, how we can make these things even more powerful. So do you remember this example from Wednesday? This was straight out of Wednesday. I had 3 different if statements. If the guess is too low, say it's too low. If the guess is too high, say it's too high. If the guess is equal, say you won. Great. So we did that on Wednesday. But there's another way that's a little more direct. It's called an if, elif, else statement. It's a combined structure. And it looks like this. So check it out. We still have the make a guess. And we're still saying if it's bigger, then we say too high. But then instead of having another if, we say elif, E-L-I-F. And that's like saying, or maybe it's this. And and then the else is all the other situations. So if you have an if, you can actually have more than one elif. You could have if it's this, or if it's this, or this, or this, or this, or this. And then finally you can have an else. And if it didn't trigger any of the other things, it's going to go do the else thing. It's called the catch-all. It'll pick up anything. AJ, please, I can tell you're not listening to me. So the idea is instead of having 3 separate if statements, you have them all tied together. The first one has to be if. Then you have to use elif until you're ready to use an else, which wraps it all up. You can't do any more elifs after the else. The else is the catch-all. It's like if I haven't triggered something already, do this last thing. So you also don't have to have elifs. You could just have 2 things. Like if you were saying, do you want to run again? You could say, if they said no, break. If they said yes, then you could give an encouraging word or something. So like this, if name equals Hayes, good morning, professor, else, hey. Notice there's no elif there. It just has an if and then an else. So that's if you want 2 things to happen. Either the first thing happens or the second thing happens, but there's no other thing. But here's a different thing. Notice I've got 2 elifs here. It says if choice equals continue. Here we go. Elif choice equals wait. Okay, we can pause for a minute. Elif choice equals leave. I'm sorry to see you go. And then else, not a valid choice. Please try again. So this would be where I'm giving them 3 things they can do. They could say continue, wait, or leave. And if they say anything else, it's going to trigger that last thing that says not a valid choice. Please try again. This is sort of thing. So again, you can have, for these things, you have to have the if, and you don't have to have an else, and you don't have to have an elif, but you can combine them any way you want as long as it goes if, elif, and then else. The else has to be the last thing if you have one. So here's that last code without the else. So if the user entered continue, it would continue if they said wait, if they said leave. But if they entered what's up, then nothing would happen because it doesn't trigger one of these things. That's why the else is good. Else sometimes is handy because it catches whatever you might want to do something if they enter something else. So here's a age guessing program. Please guess my age. All done. We did this last time, but with 3 ifs. But instead of 3 ifs, we have if n less than 57, elif n equals 57, else I'm not that old. Come on. So this one is just like what we did Wednesday, but all in one sort of statement that's all tied together. So you can't just do an elif if you don't have an if right above it. Notice each thing is indented. So after the if, you have stuff indented. After the elif, you have stuff indented. After the else, you have stuff indented. So in just a minute, I'll assign the more ifs assignment. And remember, folks, there's a help video for the first one already posted. It was in the assignment. You just open it up and follow along if you're struggling. We'll get this going. So due today is the loops program and then the ifs program. So I'll go ahead and post the ifs program. If I can find my, nope. Google Classroom. 7th period. More ifs, plus the slide decks here if you want to look at that on your own. And I'll stop recording and we're going to